Okay, so in this hour, that probably will be shorter than an hour and a half. We are going to talk about, well, the topics and project overview. As I was saying in the previous hour, I'm going to show you also some example from past years so that you have like a reference for what you will do at the end of the course. So let's start, and also we will talk about this year topics a little bit so that you have a better understanding of the topics. So let's recap the goal of the project development. So the goal is to give you this hands-on experience, practical experience with the human-centered design process and tools and methods that we're going to cover in class. So it will be, it's not the microphone, it's the speaker. It will be almost always a theoretical class followed by some exercise in class together, followed by labs on a topic. That are the 4 assignments, the 3 assignments and a half that are from group assignment. And these projects we will build step by step during the labs hour, with some hour, if you look in the schedule, that is already online, some hours on Monday, that sometimes is wrapping up assignment X or supervised work group on Y, or technology choices for assignment 5. So mostly in the lab, something in the class a little bit, and then of course you will also need to spend some time outside of the class to complete the work. The project topic are proposed by each group. The project topic are proposed by each group within the team that the group has. So, as the example I was making before about transportation, if the team is transportation, that is not, so I can do examples. If the team would be transportation, a topic could be first year, new in Turin, university student moving to reach the university. That could be one topic in which you look for issues, problem, needs within the topic transportation. Just an example. So the topic in this moment should be something like this. Quite general, so that you can explore and see if there are problems. If the topic would be, I don't know. Let me do an example that is present every single year. And there's also an invite not to follow this year, this example. People in the gym knowing how to do the exercise better. That's a classic. That's a little bit too narrow. Not because people in the gym, well, people in the gym is large. Let's say young adults in the gym. Doing exercise better is already a problem you identified. What's the problem these people have doing exercise better? So that's something that should come up after or from assignment 1 that is need finding. So not something that you should come up now, today. You can explore, investigate people in the gym while doing exercise and see what's going on. Maybe it's not about doing exercise better, maybe it's about having a personal trainer or not, having support or not, having equipment or not, knowing how to use machine or not. Multiple options within the topic. So within the team, you have to come up as a group with some topic like this. And group assignment represents the main steps of the process that always, again, start during the lab. For the first 2 of them as a feedback session in the following lab, and all of these will be, except the individual assignment, evaluated at the exam. Again, we will only take a note on how well the first 2 assignments are done before the feedback, just not to have, oh, I did nothing, and now with the feedback I do the work. Okay? So if you just do nothing and just expect the feedback to do something, that's not going to play well for you. For the first 2 assignment. So which are the assignment? Just to recap, assignment 1 is need finding, something we started to talk about today. We'll continue on Monday. We'll do an exercise on Monday. Exercise that will allow you to start lab 1, assignment 1 on Wednesday in this room, always in this room. Assignment 2 will be about storyboard, so a way to analyze and represent data from the finding and build a first prototype that is low in fidelity, and we will see an example, but also we will see in class what is low in fidelity. Then on top of that, after the feedback, you will receive and do the individual assignment, that is an expert evaluation on the usability, on the interface, on the choices of another group prototype. That will count as your individual assignment, but will also give information to the other group to improve the prototype towards the next step. That will be assignment 4, small assignment, 1 week, also very short, that is a bridge between the medium fidelity prototype, between the low fidelity prototype done up to that point and the high fidelity in code prototype of assignment 5. Assignment 4 is just to assess and stabilize and start to thinking on how to apply some changes from the previous weeks before moving to programming and to creating code. Creating code, that will be assignment 5, group assignment, starting at like week 10 or 9 and continuing until the exam. Assignment 5 will include the prototype in code and its evaluation with users. That will be the same kind of users you will get for need finding. So if you decide to do, let's use the example that you should not use, something for student in the gym, in need finding you're going to speak with student in the gym, and here you will have the prototype evaluated by student in the gym, or that go to the gym. Maybe not in the gym, but that go to the gym. So same population. Not same people, same population. Okay? This is just a plan, then we will go in detail of all of these with the text. And I will present, or someone will present each assignment in class, video recorded on Monday before they start. For assignment 1 on Monday, I will present assignment 1. And that part will be video recorded anyway. Even if we do exercise, that 5, 10, 15 minutes will be video recorded. Okay, any question up to this? Because this hour is where, if you have any doubts, you should speak about them. Yes?
Sorry, eventually we need to make a specific product like a software or
yes.
application, web app.
Yes.
It's proposed to be one specific thing, or we can maybe make only web application, or maybe
it depends on what emerged in the previous phase, but yes, you will end up doing one kind of prototype. Could be one web application, could be one mobile application, or one web application that looks like and works like a mobile application, because it's a prototype. It could be a virtual reality application. It could be a smartwatch application, or a web application that looks like and works like a smartwatch application. It's a prototype. So use technology. We will talk about technology. In assignment 5, we will have 1 hour and a half in class in which each group will tell me what they want to do, and we will discuss together which are the possible technological choice to meet that goal. We will dedicate 1 hour and a half with me moving with the microphone to the room and writing on a slide everything that, okay, I want to do a mobile application, okay, technology, you can do this, this, and that. I want to do this, okay, technology, you can use this, this, and that. Options that you can use, consider from that day onwards, okay? But that's assignment 5. Now, let's stay on the top of the slide. Any other question? Otherwise, I will move. Okay. Someone was asking the other day if I could repeat how the assignment matched with the process, and I said, oh, there is a slide on Wednesday, so here we are. So, to the human-centered process, we add one step, of course, that is the domain choice, so that every group do a project that is different within their topic, their theme. So the one in health and well-being will do 10 different projects, 10 groups, each group a different project. So the first step is choosing this domain, this smaller topic within the big health and well-being or education or AI behind, generative AI behind, beyond conversations, subtopic. That is what you will use to do need finding. Then assignment 1 is, well, choose the topic and do need finding. Assignment 2 will be analysis of the result, and we will see what is a storyboard, how to build it. So all of these we will see how to do them. And assignment 2 will be also designing a low fidelity prototype and prototype the low fidelity prototype. So not just thinking what to do, but also doing in low fidelity, so without code. That's assignment 2. Assignment 3 will be an evaluation that is not written here, but it's a step evaluation that can bring back to the analysis. So you will learn something from evaluation so that you can do another cycle here. Let me do it on the slides so for the people who will look at the video. So evaluation is moving from the prototype, giving information you to do another cycle here. Another cycle that will be done, as I was saying, very, very shortly, this path between analysis and design for the medium to high fidelity prototype, and then the design of the initial prototype, the low fidelity, tweaked with the changes from the medium fidelity prototype will bring you to the implementation and to the creation of the high fidelity prototype, that is assignment 5. And then assignment 5 also include the usability testing of that high fidelity prototype. That's again is a usability, it's an evaluation phase similar to the one that we have with the heuristic evaluation. And with that second cycle, we'll end the course. So we start with the one cycle in low fidelity, as a beginning of cycle in medium fidelity, and then we conclude the cycle in high fidelity. Because it's 14 weeks and 6 credits and not 100 credits. So we need to conclude at a certain point and cut something in the middle. But you have a glimpse of the entire process repeated at least twice. One for the low fidelity prototype and one for the high fidelity prototype. We, of course, keep the real product implementation and deployment. That's not our goal. We end up with prototypes that works, make a point, show that they satisfy the need you identify, and we don't care about all the things that would be needed for like a product, something you can sell, use, share in the world. It still would be a prototype, the final result. Okay? So about prototype, one thing that I will say here, and I will repeat because it's needed in assignment 5, is what is the level of completion of the high fidelity prototyping code. Again, it's not the thing you are going to deploy in the world or sell or whatever, it's still a prototype. So is high fidelity in how it looks and how it works, but it's not the final version ready to be deployed somewhere else with all things well done well in the technical perspective, on the security perspective. All these things are important for the deployment, but not for the prototype. So the final prototype must be an high fidelity interactive prototype in code, because the majority of you are from computer engineer or similar, with any technology you like, know, want to learn. We don't care. You want to do it in JavaScript? Be my guest. You want to do it in Python? Good luck doing user interface in Python. Whatever. You want to do in Kotlin because it's a mobile application? Up to you. You want to do it in Rust? Double good luck. So whatever technology. We had groups that say, oh, we did web application 1 and we did a web application. We had a group that say, oh, I want to learn a mobile application. I don't have the course, and I'm using this as a way to learn a mobile application as well. And that's up to you. We don't really care about which specific piece of technology you use. The important thing is that it's in code and will satisfy some requirements that we will give you about the way to interact, about the persistence in the interaction and the action. But with whatever technology. Again, it's not a final product, but it should simulate a realistic experience on a specific device. Which means, as I was saying before, that you can have, if you want to do a mobile application, and you will decide in assignment 2 which kind of device you want to target. If you, let's say, want to do a mobile application, you can do a web application that looks like and behave like via CSS as a mobile application. And you can show it on a mobile, you can show it in a browser with the mobile mode active and say, oh, this is a prototype of a mobile application. That's totally legit because it's a prototype and technology is functional to what you want to do. Okay? Any questions? Doubts?
Sorry. I can ask my question. So
Yeah.
we say that we designed a web page and it should be responsive, right?
No.
Right.
I said exactly the opposite. I said that if you in assignment 2, when we ask you, okay, now we have a problem to solve, now you have an idea of the solution, and you decide that the solution is a mobile application, in assignment 5, so a little bit after, you can decide whether to do it like a real mobile application or doing it like a web application that looks like and behave like a mobile application. So it's not responsive, it's just for mobile. It can do whatever it wants in a larger screen. It's just for mobile because your goal is prototyping a mobile application. Okay? But that's its assignment 5. I know that you want information here. I understand. And I will always reply assignment 5. We are assignment 1. As I said, Monday, trust the process. Now, let me go. But I need to tell you so that you have an idea what to do, because the choice you make next week, you cannot change them. So if you decide to do something incredibly complex, you will need to do it with some technology at a certain point. So just be prepared. Just keep in mind what's the final result before. That's why I'm telling you which will be the final result, so that you can retroactively think, okay, I'm really sure in assignment 2 that I want to do something in virtual reality with haptic manipulation, etc., because you need to do it then. In some way, with some simplification, but still need to do it. Okay, so think carefully.
Last time you said that every assignment can be changed, not the third one.
Every result of the assignment can be changed, but of course, if you start saying I want to do a mobile application for student in the gym, it cannot become, no, I'm changing my mind at assignment 5, no, this is a web application on the for other things. So there are decisions you make, and these decisions are like final. You can change We will not even ask you a report for each assignment. We will ask you a presentation you will see next week on Monday. But then for the exam will be a report, as I was saying on Monday. So you can change what you write. You can change some small details. If you do some error in the low fidelity prototype, you can fix it before the heuristic evaluation. That's in the sense it can be changed. But if you make a decision in week 2 and then you want to change in week 7, that's not coherent. Okay? I have another slide on project completion. So since it's a prototype, the prototype will make some assumption and will not implement standard or very complex feature, even if technically important. Which means, for example, that you can have fake data. You can have limited amount of data. You can have hard-coded features. They work, but they are not real. You will not do something in the world with something hard-coded. Let me make an example of limited number. We had in 2019, 2020, one of the first edition of the course, a group that did something for instruction, helping people build IKEA furniture. So they put the manual, the instruction, in a mobile app, interactive, whatever, beautiful, etc. Of course, they didn't map the entire IKEA catalog. They list like 20 objects, chair, table, whatever, and they did an instruction for 2 of them. So the application worked perfectly for 2 of them, for a chair and a table, or a library, a shelf, and everything else was coming soon. Totally legit because it's a prototype. It's not something you go to sell to IKEA that you need to provide. So limited data. So if you do something on a map, you will have 3, 4, 5 spots on the map, not mapping the entire city of Turin. Limited data. Okay? One, about data. Second, I don't want to see sign in, sign up, or whatever. That's just time that you waste that are not fundamental for the prototype you are developing. So if you are creating the same application for gym, for student in the gym, you just start with the user logged in, ready to use the application. No sign in, no registration, no sign up, nothing. Just start. The user is already there. Use the application. Day 1, already started. All of these about page, copyright page, all the stuff that are maybe important are not important for a prototype, are important for a real world application that is not this one. With a prototype, you need to make a point that your solution for that specific problem that you identify is a good solution. And unless you do an application for improving sign up and sign in, that's not something you want to make a point of. Just time that you waste. And in the economy of things, don't waste time. And any particular behavior will work in a small number of predefined cases. And we will have other examples towards assignment 5. But this is just to give you an idea that this is not a final product, it's a prototype with limitations, simplification. That should work, should be persistent. It's not a refresh the page and they lose everything that they do, but still, it's a prototype. We'll do something up to a certain point. Okay? Questions? Okay. Now, let me show you 2 examples of project of this course. This one was in 2022. They get the maximum score, by the way. One of the team that year was AR, VR for education. So they needed to do something for education. No way with AR or VR. They cannot do without it in this team. Okay? So what was the chosen domain they were investigating in assignment 1 was how elementary school teachers were teaching math. See, no problem written there, no solution written there, just a domain. I'm going to elementary school teacher and I want to see how they teach math. Which are the problems, which are the issues, which are the things that they struggle with, which are the things that the students struggle with. That was the domain within education and AR, VR. That is something you should come up with at the beginning of assignment 1 as an idea. Is it clear? Because it will not on Wednesday. I will start to hear things that are not like this. Okay. So at the end of assignment 1, after talking with teachers, after observing things the teacher does today to teach math at the elementary school, after listening what students struggle with, they pick this solution. It's not a technical solution, but it's the solution that you also will need to create at the end of assignment 1. Something to allow teachers to create more engaging and better explaining scenarios to represent the mathematical problem and the logic behind. So they did all the defining phase, they extract needs, and they say, okay, one problem was that this teacher, was that the students were terribly annoyed when they had a problem, a mathematical problem to solve. And since they were annoyed, they will also don't understand fully the logic behind because they are elementary school students, so they're small. They are very young. So how can we empower teacher to create scenarios to better represent in a more engaging way a mathematical problem suitable for that class, that students. So not something for the students, something for the teacher. Okay? That was the solution. You can imagine multiple ways to do this, devices, technology, etc. They had one constraint, however, that should be used AR or VR. One of the two. So in assignment 2, they and you will be asked to do two prototypes, two different low fidelity prototypes. And this is a low fidelity prototype. Paper and pen. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, depends how many pages you have. So low fidelity is low fidelity in the quality and is low fidelity in the implementation, but gives you the idea of what's going on. So these are 2 pages out of many. And is kindergarten skills level. So really, there is no difficulty in doing this. So these were 2 scenarios, like a market where you can buy fruits and something with animals. I suppose this is a cat, this is, I don't know. But then you can, they had the constraint to be in augmented reality or virtual reality, and they decided to do it in augmented reality. So this was like a real table in the classroom, and then these are instead the virtual object to move on the table. And then with the class, you can, in the idea, you can look at the object on the table with the children, and you can count them and say you have 2 apples, and I eat one, and you remove the apple, how many apples remain, in multiple scenarios, market, zoo, etc. So you can build, as a teacher, this scenario and then use them in augmented reality. That was their idea, made on paper. That was the first prototype. The second prototype was different. Of course, they had, again, the constraint of augmented reality, virtual reality. But the second prototype was similar, sort of, but more like form-based, like in the first screen. And then in the end, produced a scenario for the children to play, but didn't have drag and drop, had buttons, edits, more textual and form-based for the teachers. This their excerpt from the low fidelity prototype. That's the high fidelity prototype. Slightly different, but not too much. So after everything, they end up with this application that was in augmented reality and with objects. How many objects they had? 2. Limited number of things. And they picked this object from the web and put it in the application. They didn't draw an apple and a giraffe. And they created this. So you can, as a teacher, select the apple, change the color. How many colors? 3. And if you have the giraffe, you have maybe no color to change. But just to make the point, and it, of course, tested it with teacher, etc. This looks real, that's why it's high fidelity. But there were limitations. For instance, you cannot zoom in with the pitch to zoom, it's just fixed. Objects are put at the center of the scene. So they show the point, the table, and then the object was on the table. But if they point in the ceiling, the object was on the ceiling. They will not constrain the object to a surface, which in a real application you should do, because otherwise you have this object moving around. But since it was technically difficult and was not functional to the prototype, they just skip the technical difficult part and just say, okay, just appear somewhere and stay there. And then if I move the scene, I will move it as well. But I don't, because I have control of my prototype. Object does not respond to low physics. So if the apple drops, it just fluctuate. No physics, no physical engine. Objects are coded in a JavaScript file. You cannot change the object. It's just you change the color, you replace the object. You don't change really the color from the object. You just swipe it with another one. So this is where they started. Idea, what they did in the low fidelity, and what they obtained in the high fidelity. This is the same path you are going to do. And notice that they had 2 low fidelity prototype, and then they will need to conclude with 1 high fidelity prototype, meaning making choices. I choose one, I choose the other, I move feature from one to another, etc. And then if I move feature, I need to redesign something that is assignment 4. This is one example. Let me do another example for 2023. Another team. In 2023, we had generic teams, humans meet AI. General, no education, no health, whatever it is, just with AI in the middle. This group chose as a domain urban tourism from national and international tourists. Again, no problem, no solution here. At the end of the assignment 1, they wanted to understand, to have a tool to understand user preferences for tourism in the city and create an itinerary accordingly, a suitable itinerary using AI. So the first paper prototype was a mobile application, done in this way. You select the date, you give the interval, you can edit it with voice, with a chatbot, and forms, etc. The second prototype was instead a desktop application, so that you build the itinerary before going somewhere, and then with the help of AI, and then you print it, you save it as a PDF, etc., and then go in the city. The first one was instead, I am around in movement, I can also edit it while I am in the city. So they choose tourism because it was human and AI in the context. The high fidelity prototype was stemmed from the second low fidelity prototype and was made like this. So this is more a classical, in a way, user interface, but instead of the microphone, they had this robot here, that will pop up a chat, and you can write and do edits and suggestions and all this stuff. Okay? And then you have the itinerary, you can change it, you can create from scratch, you can do all the operation on the itinerary. Because the goal was understand user preference and create the itinerary. So the goal of the application was picking preferences in some way and create the itinerary for a travel in the city. Limitation. This was human meets AI, but the AI was stupid. It was not even probably an AI, it was hard-coded. So it simulates the behavior of the AI, but without being an algorithm of AI. And then we had groups coming from maybe the AI path or from data science that instead also did something on the model, maybe using model from other courses or creating on their own, but it's not a strict requirement. It's the interaction that should matter. So this was absolutely not sophisticated AI driving the trip generation and the reliance on chatbot for edits. The chatbot itself is limited as it only accepts a specific input sentence for trip modification and discard other inputs. That means that if you write, I want to edit this, it works. If you write, I want to modify this didn't work. Because it was if sentence, edit, then do this. Else, do nothing. So it's not intelligent at all. But again, in an evaluation, given in the end of the creator, they know what to do, they know what to write, and they manage to make the point to satisfy the need that they identified in the beginning. This didn't get the maximum score, just to give you a comparison with the previous one. For the work they did, not for the appearance of it. Okay, so these are two examples. So this is a preview of what you are going to do. So if you decide something here, as I was saying before, if you decide here that you have a chatbot with a microphone, then I want the microphone working in some way in the high fidelity prototype, not me. You should have the microphone working in some way in the high fidelity prototype. Then could be hard-coded, like if the microphone enable the default speech-to-text capability of a computer, and then I do if edit then this, else add this, else nothing. But still should be implemented at a certain point. So not try to be careful, but not too much. But think that whatever you're proposing, at a certain point you have to do it for real, with some technology, with some limitation. Okay, any questions? Does it have questions? No.
If we have to work with AI, so we can simulate it and with limited data and questions, or like in the third teams of this year, or we have to maybe connect with OpenAI or something with training or data.
Well, let's say that of course should be limited in some way. So we don't expect you to build to train, test, to collect data, to build an AI model, to do whatever, because that's not our goal here. Then, if you just do everything hard-coded, or pick a model that you have and put it there, or use OpenAI API because it's easier than not doing a series of switch cases within for the goal of your project, these are possible design decision and possible limitations of your prototype, but every prototype will have some limitations. So it should not be, so in one extreme, it should not be just images that you look at, but on the other stream, again, should not be the product, so it could have limitation. But using OpenAI API could be an option, for instance. But it depends on the project, what it needs to do, of course. And we have some, like, if you want to do something in virtual reality, for instance, we have some hardware to borrow you, to give you, to do it. If you want to use the microphone, we have example in code on how to use the microphone and do speech to text and text to speech. If you want to use OpenAI API, we may have a limited number of API calls to give you before being too expensive. So we can give you, well, not only support and knowledge and example in code, but also like material for some areas. Of course, if you do a desktop application, you have computers. And if you have a mobile application, you have mobile phones, so you don't need much from us. But in other cases, we can try to understand if we have also the material to give you, software or hardware material, okay? Any other question before talking of the themes of this year with some details? Not examples, because otherwise I'm doing your job. Okay, so 3 themes this year that are slightly different and slightly similar to the one of last year. Theme 1, first lab slot, 2 p.m. to 30 p.m. The teacher of the team will be Alberto. The teacher with team, as a reminder, is the one that will follow the entire process. So I don't want to hear anything from these people here. I will just have my own group. So if not needed, you will interact with Alberto. And Alberto will grade your report and your heuristic evaluation. I will not. Alberto will. And then at the exam, we together with the 3 teachers decide the final score. But the evaluation of the material will be done by the teacher of the slot, because this is the teacher that has seen you along the entire semester and know what you did, not the discussion you had, know the simplification you decided maybe with the teacher to have, etc. So it has knowledge on the project, and so it's the best person to evaluate the project. That's for each team. So health and well-being. Here there is a small description that say health and well-being are fundamental aspects of our daily life. They encompass, so project could encompass physical, mental, and emotional dimension that can be significantly influenced by interaction with technology. So there should be technology in the middle. Within the team, the project will explore innovative way, imagine innovative way to create application and interface that empower individual to lead healthier lives in a physical, mental, or emotional perspective. And who is people is another question for you to answer. But it could be, again, student in the gym, because that's physical well-being. It could be people preparing for a marathon, because also that is physical well-being. It could be stress-related application, because that is mental and emotional well-being, etc. So it could be encompass a variety of health and well-being for a variety of people that you can pick one. So perspectives here. So in thinking what to do, ask yourself these 3 questions. 1, which health and well-being related topic you want to explore? Is physical, is sports, is mental, is emotional, is a combination, etc. More importantly, for whom? Is for students, is for 80 years old people. That's different, of course. It's for people with some particular disease. In which context? School, university, in life, in group, alone. These are factors to decide in selecting a project topic. And then, also important, are we able to reach out to these people, because you will need to talk with them. So again, if you do a project for people who are blind, then you need to be able to talk with people who are blind. That maybe is easy for someone, maybe it's difficult for someone, it depends, but that's something you have to consider. A reminder for this team and for all the others that creativity and originality are criteria for the evaluation. So while it is true that you should be careful in not overdoing things, on the other side it's also true that playing safe will not play well for you in the sense of evaluation, because playing safe is probably not creativity and no originality. So for instance, I'm using the same example as before, helping students attending a local gym on their own in the health perspective is way less, it's not written way, but let me say it, is way less original and creative than supporting them in using their smartphone mindfully and effectively to manage the digital habits. That's much more difficult in a way than, oh, let's talk with my friends that go to the gym every day, or some friends that go to the gym sometimes. So keep in mind this also factor. Team 2, education and learning. That's me, second slot on Wednesday, and we will try to be there always for the slot. Alberto will not be present one Wednesday, and I will be there for that single Wednesday, and vice versa. I will not be here for one Wednesday, and Alberto will be there for that week. But except those cases, every group has a teacher of reference. So education and learning, focus on education and learning in formal or informal settings, which means mathematics for elementary school students, university students for studying, but also means I want to learn how to play guitar. So informal education, informal learning. So not a school, not a course, but hobby that still entail education and learning. Or I'm passionate about history. I'm passionate about museum, and then I can do something for tourists that visit museum and learn about something about art, about history, about other things. Or in that year of the AR, VR for education, we had a group that used AR to show how the monuments in the city appear in the history, along the history, with some description. So you look at the Colosseum and you say, okay, how did it appear 100 years ago, 200, etc., etc. And that overlaps with pictures of the monument. So it's learning in a totally informal setting that is tourism in a city. So these are all included here. So you can learn at school, you can learn to play sport, to play instrument. You can learn, in education, you can also do activities, support class learning activities, teachers or students. You can learn within family. You can learn about culture, stories, tradition, languages. I'm learning Italian, I'm learning English, I'm learning French. All of this is learning and education. So project in this team should explore how we might create the education experience for helping people learn better and possibly with more fun than a textbook, let's say. So this is team 2. As always, perspective. In thinking a team, the first step is thinking which kind of educational learning do you want to focus on. So it's formal education or is informal education? Is class, school, individual? Is hobby? Is sport? Is math? Is distributed system programming? Is all education? Is all learning? Is eating well, learning how to eat well. That's learning as well. Again, for whom? Elementary school, middle school, if you are in a formal setting. If you are in an informal setting, it's just random people, it's just teenager, young adults, elderly people, people with disease, people who are blind, etc. And again, are we able to reach out to these people as before? As before, also here, of course, creativity and originality are criteria for the evaluation. So helping university students studying a difficult topic, better. Helping computer engineer from Politecnico studying a computer engineer course is less original and less creative than supporting tourists to playfully learn the history of various monuments in the city I was exemplifying before. With or without AR, doesn't matter in this case. Okay? Third theme. Third theme will be the last slot, so the next hour, if it was today. They will be guided by Tommaso. And the description is this. This is a cross topic. So it's not, while education, health are vertical topic, you should do something to learn, you should do something in education. You should do something for health. Here you can do something for whatever. Could be also health, well-being, and education, and sports, and exploring the world, and travel, and transportation, whatever. But the focus here is on, in a sense, technology and how to use it, and in particular AI and how to use it, and in particular generative AI and how to use it. So the challenge here is to move away from the traditional way in which generative AI is used from an interactive perspective, that is, let's do a chat with ChatGPT, with Claude, with whatever. I've read some prompt, and I will get an answer in text, and then I will reply with other text or with my voice, and then back and forth until it hallucinates or I'm happy of the results, or I had enough, depends. So here, this team the goal of this team is within a topic, a context, people, etc., how we can, assuming we need AI in this context, how we can use it not via conversation, not with a chatbot. How we can use generative AI to do the things generative AI is good at, but not with a chat of the same sort. So the focus is on designing a prototyping system where generative AI is integrated into user experience that move beyond text-based conversation in whatever domain, in whatever context you want it. Perspectives. In thinking of the team, you can ask yourself in which context this makes sense to support people into something. That makes sense while driving a car? Probably not. Maybe yes. It makes sense in a gym for students? Maybe. I can generate the plan for the exercise, for instance. Again, for which people and how we able to reach out to them, exactly as previous to team. AI, since here there is a technology, AI, of course, needs to be kept in the back of your mind, but at the moment, you have to ignore AI. So in need finding, you don't talk about AI. You talk about transportation, you talk about gym, you talk about issue, you talk about extracting needs you have. And then from assignment 2, you have to think about AI, because in that moment, you will need to draw a user interface. So AI should be there as a feature, as something that helps you to reach your goal, to satisfy your need. Again, originality, creativity. Here there is an example, helping Politecnico student to study with an intelligent tutor is less original creative than supporting high school teacher co-creating in-class activities with generative AI. Co-creating between AI and the person. Each one take a stance on some activity, on some steps to create a exercise, a lecture, slides, exam, whatever. So let me just open a parenthesis, and then we will have one class about this that Tommaso will do, I think. But just to give you in mind this, even, let me say another thing. The other previous two topics didn't include AI or didn't include any technology, but if you want, you can include them from assignment 2 onwards. So if you want to do something with virtual reality, you can do it. If you want to add AI in health and well-being, that's not a problem from assignment 2 onwards. Here you have to. In the other, you have choice to or not to add specific technology, except traditional graphical user interface. Here you are more constrained. You have to use at least AI, generative AI, in a moment. So what's different, just to open a parenthesis for the people who choose the third topic, but also for the other, just in case. How many of you do data science here? Data science. It's a master degree separate from, okay. How many of you do data science, the master degree? Okay. How many do AI as path? Okay. Half of the present. So what's different, AI people? What's different between when AI is an interactive system versus the same interactive system without AI?
It learns.
No, okay. Maybe it learns from. But what's more different? Well, it learns to. It can learn well, it can learn bad, but then what does after it learns?
It evolves with time.
Adds information or give you new data.
Okay, let's say that we are almost there with the last two questions, the answer. Let's try to generalize a little bit. When you interact with, imagine to have the, I don't know, booking an exam with AI and booking an exam without AI. What would be the difference in the interaction?
You do less things.
Not necessarily.
Different action, like with AI, can be similar to a real life conversation, or it's a different type of interaction between between the user and the machine or the website or whatever.
That's depend of how good is the interface. Could be terrible also with AI, depends who do this. There is one thing that is more fundamental different. Also imagine the answers, let's say, or what happens after you click, you do something.
AI can hallucinate and spiral and do something.
Well, that's generative AI, can hallucinate, but not all AI luckily hallucinate and spiral, but sort of, we are almost there. So AI-based systems are performed under uncertainty. That's the machine learning. You have a model that's a statistical model. So by definition, the answers are not predictable always in the same way. You can have uncertainty. You can have false positive. You can have false negative. You can have hallucination in generative AI. So you can have this thing. You can minimize. You can try to do like cleaning the data, whatever, but you cannot remove entirely an uncertainty, especially when you interact with. And many AI components are inconsistent. So in a non-AI system, you don't have uncertainty. If you click a button or you write a sentence, the result will be always the same, except of errors, of course, like technical issues. But if you write hello in a non-AI chatbot, the answer will always be hello. If you write hello in an AI based on ChatGPT, sometimes we say hello, sometimes we say some other things. It depends from the knowledge, from what you learn, from whatever. So it's uncertain. There is a level of uncertainty in every interaction with an AI-based system. and it's also inconsistent. So may respond differently to the same text over time because the model evolved. So after day one, model version 1, it replied in a certain way. After 1 week of usage, maybe the answer is slightly different. So it evolves, but you don't. You are still you, in a way. So your expectation, we said Monday, your understanding of how the system performs can change because the system can change. So there is this level of inconsistency as well. Or if you think, just not think about only generative AI. Think about search engine. If I look for something on Google with my account, I will likely see different results from the same search done by him with his account. That's personalization of results, and it's inconsistent across user. I cannot tell him it's the third answer, the third reply to this query, because his third will be different from mine, likely. So in designing system, you have to, especially if you use real AI, you should keep this in mind. So how can we design interactivity with AI, keeping in mind uncertainty and inconsistency? First of all, we need to decide when to AI and when not to. Not everything should be done with AI. I'm talking with AI people, especially. Not everything. There are things that doesn't make sense, and other that makes a lot of sense. So decide. You are creating an application that will use AI, will not likely use AI for everything. We use AI for something, and that's focus there. Also understand when to automate, that is replacing user operation. That's the default from some people in AI. And when instead to empower people to do better or what they would do normally, to write better, to read faster through AI. And not just, oh, I'm doing the work for you. That is automation. And balance the uncertainty of what we said before in the user interface with proper expectation and feedback. It's not enough to say this chatbot can give wrong answer. That's easy. Let's not set expectation. You say, oh, I can make mistakes. Well, yes. And? So give expectation, give feedback of what is the response from the AI system. In general, thinking of your application when you will do, and then you have these slides, you can go back. When a functionality is critical, people needs accurate and reliable result. And so you have to explain better, to give feedback better, and to be more consistent and careful. When the functionality is complementary, you can experiment more, because people can be, okay, but this is not the core feature of this, it's just a plus. So even if it doesn't work, even if it's hallucinates sometimes, even if the precision and recall is 50%, okay, maybe it's fine, because it's just a minor thing as a complementary. It's an extra, maybe marked with beta, so that. But if it's a core functionality, it cannot just work randomly, because that will drive people say, okay, this is useless. This is not reliable. I'm not going to use it anymore. So critical functionality with AI, accurate and reliable result. Not critical, complementary functionality. It could be also less of less quality with the others. Okay, but just again, especially for the third topic, keep in mind this: when to AI and when not to, what to automate and what to help people do, and balancing with expectation, especially on the things that you have to do. Okay? Any questions?
The topics can be maybe not in this category. For example, I don't know, if you want to do something artistic which is not related to education or health or whatever, it can be done?
No. They should be in the 3 topics.
You can modify it in a way of maybe education way.
If you want help people to learn how to do some kind of art, that's something that you can do, because it's learning to do art. Art is just the artifacts. Instead of learning math, you learn to draw, or to paint, or to do a comic, or to do a movie, whatever it is. But it cannot be different from health, education, and generative AI behind the conversation. Any other questions? Okay. If there are not, have a good evening and see you again on Monday.